The shimmering starship broke through Earth's clouds, its polished crystalline hull casting rainbow patterns across the ground below. Crowds gathered in the streets of New York, pointing skyward at the massive vessel that dwarfed the tallest skyscrapers. This was humanity's first contact with alien life, and the whole world held its breath. Dr. Hannah Kim adjusted her formal blazer as she waited on the landing pad outside the United Nations headquarters. Her hands trembled slightly, but her face remained composed. Years of studying potential alien languages had led to this moment. The warm summer breeze carried whispers from the other officials gathered around her. The ship's landing was completely silent, defying the laws of physics as humanity understood them. As the vessel touched down, its surface rippled like water before becoming solid again. A soft hum filled the air, and a doorway materialized in the ship's smooth hull. Director Jin Park stood beside Hannah, his military posture rigid with tension. The Global Defense Initiative leader had prepared for many scenarios, but nothing quite like this. His hand rested near his ceremonial sidearm, a gesture that felt meaningless in the face of such advanced technology. The beings that emerged from the ship moved with an otherworldly grace. They stood nearly 8 feet tall, their bodies covered in what appeared to be flowing robes made of living metal. Their features were almost human-like, but with an unsettling perfection that made them look like living statues. Their leader introduced himself as High Counselor Erix. His voice seemed to echo in everyone's minds rather than travel through the air. The translator devices the humans had prepared remained silent, unnecessary in the face of whatever technology the aliens used to communicate. "We have watched your species for some time," Erix announced to the assembled crowd. "Your recent achievements have drawn our attention. The Galactic Confederation welcomes promising young races into its embrace." Hannah noticed the slight curl of his lip as he spoke the word young. Her years of studying body language translated across species. This was not respect she saw in their visitors' expressions, but something closer to pity or contempt. As Earth's designated ambassador, she stepped forward and began her carefully prepared greeting. "On behalf of humanity, we welcome you to Earth and look forward to peaceful dialogue between our peoples." Erix raised a hand, cutting her off mid-sentence. "Your enthusiasm is noted, but unnecessary. The Confederation has already determined the best path forward for your species." The alien leader's eyes swept across the gathered human officials. "Your technological development is proceeding at an acceptable pace, though your methods are crude. Under our guidance as a protectorate world, you will advance more efficiently." Jin Park's fingers tightened on his weapon. "Protectorate status. What exactly does that entail?" "We will oversee your development, ensure you do not harm yourselves or others with your primitive technologies, and grant you access to approved Confederation knowledge when you are ready." Erix's tone made it clear this was not a proposal but a declaration. "And if we wish to maintain our independence?" Hannah asked carefully. The alien leader's expression didn't change, but the temperature seemed to drop several degrees. "That would be unwise. The galaxy is a dangerous place for isolated worlds. The Confederation offers protection. This is not a negotiation." As the words settled over the crowd, Hannah caught Jin's worried glance. She had spent years imagining humanity's first contact with alien life. In her dreams, it had been a moment of wonder and shared discovery. Instead, she felt like she was watching her planet being annexed by a cosmic empire. The other aliens began moving among the human officials, setting up strange devices that hummed with energy. They ignored questions about their purpose, treating the humans like children who wouldn't understand the explanation. Hannah watched as several of the devices sank into the ground, disappearing from view. Her translator's instincts told her there was more happening here than a simple diplomatic meeting. The aliens' body language, their dismissive tone, the way they positioned themselves. Everything pointed to a carefully planned operation rather than a first contact scenario. When she tried to approach one of the devices, an alien stepped smoothly in her path. "The monitoring equipment is not for your concern," it stated flatly. Return to your position. Jin Park moved closer to Hana, his military training making him acutely aware of how the aliens were slowly surrounding the human delegation. "They're not here to welcome us to the galactic community," he whispered. "This is an invasion wearing diplomatic clothes." As the sun began to set over New York, casting long shadows across the landing pad, Earth's representatives found themselves facing a choice that would determine humanity's future. Accept protection that looked more like submission, or face the consequences of defying a power that could cross the stars as easily as humans crossed the street. The alien ship continued to shimmer in the fading light, beautiful and threatening at the same time, like a diamond-studded collar being offered to humanity. Pretty to look at, but still a sign of ownership. As Hana translated the alien's careful words and veiled threats for the other officials, she couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning of a much larger conflict. Deep beneath the mountains of the Korean peninsula, Lieutenant Colonel Ta Wan Lee walked through the gleaming halls of Project Phoenix. The underground facility hummed with activity, its walls lined with screens displaying data streams that would have been incomprehensible 6 months ago. The arrival of the Confederation had pushed human innovation to new heights, though not in the way the aliens had intended. Taiwan paused at a reinforced window overlooking the main testing chamber. Below, researchers in white lab coats moved around a prototype spacecraft that bore little resemblance to either human or Confederation designs. Its smooth curves housed technology that merged human intuition with advanced quantum systems in ways the aliens had never imagined. "Another successful test," Colonel Dr. Subin Park announced, joining him at the window. The chief engineer's eyes shone with pride as she handed him the latest test results. "The neural interface is now operating at 99.8% efficiency. The human mind adapts to the quantum systems faster than we ever expected." Taiwan studied the data, a small smile playing at his lips. "The Confederation thinks they're helping us by sharing small pieces of their technology. They don't realize we're using that knowledge as a foundation to build something entirely new." The facility had been built in record time after first contact, hidden from the Confederation's monitoring systems by a combination of natural mountain shielding and innovative cloaking technology. Here, the best minds from around the world worked together in secret, pushing the boundaries of what was possible. "Show me the latest simulation results," Taiwan requested, following Subin to her workstation. The screens came alive with complex patterns that represented the merger of human consciousness with quantum computing systems. "Traditional computers work in ones and zeros," Subin explained to the junior engineers gathered around. "The Confederation's technology uses quantum states, but they still treat it like a traditional computer. We've discovered that the human mind can navigate quantum possibilities in ways their eye never could." The simulation showed a human pilot connected to their new system, their thoughts flowing through quantum states to control the spacecraft with unprecedented precision. What took Confederation ships complex calculations and multiple crew members to achieve, a single human pilot could do instinctively. "The aliens think we're children playing with toys," Taiwan said, watching the simulation progress. "They don't understand that humanity's greatest strength is our ability to look at problems differently. They've had their technology so long, they've stopped innovating." In another section of the facility, test pilots were connecting to the neural interface simulators. Their brain patterns appeared on nearby screens, showing how quickly humans could adapt to thinking in quantum states. What the Confederation had dismissed as primitive neural architecture turned out to be perfectly suited for this new form of space travel. "Colonel, you should see this," one of the technicians called out. The young researcher pulled up a comparison between Confederation ship response times and their latest prototype. The difference was staggering. While alien ships needed to process commands through multiple systems, the human quantum interface allowed for nearly instantaneous reactions. Subin started another simulation, this one showing how their technology could be used to coordinate multiple ships simultaneously. One human pilot can control an entire squadron through the quantum network. The Confederation has nothing like this. They don't believe it's possible. Taiwan watched the simulation with growing satisfaction. The aliens had expected humanity to follow their predetermined path of development, learning to use Confederation technology in approved ways. Instead, humanity had taken their basic principles and transformed them into something new. How long until the first actual flight test? He asked, turning to Subin. 2 weeks, she replied confidently. We've solved the last stability issues in the neural interface. The prototype ship is ready. We just need to run final safety checks on the quantum core. Around them, the facility continued its work, each section contributing to humanity's secret defense program. Engineers refined the quantum systems, medical teams monitored the effects of neural interfaces on test pilots, and tactical experts developed new strategies that would be impossible for traditional spacecraft. The Confederation thinks they're guiding our development. Taiwan mused, watching his team work. They don't realize they've given us the tools to surpass them. Human creativity, combined with quantum technology. It's something they never considered possible. Subin pulled up one final simulation, showing their prototype ship performing maneuvers that would tear a Confederation vessel apart. They believe their technology is the peak of achievement. But we've learned that the best technology adapts to its users, not the other way around. As the day shift changed to night, the underground facility remained as active as ever. Humanity's future was being forged in secret, preparing for the day when the Confederation would discover that their primitive protectorate had developed beyond their control. The aliens' own arrogance would be their downfall, and humanity's greatest advantage. Security Chief Myra Song stared at her monitors in horror as 3 bright flashes lit up Earth's orbit. The orbital stations, home to thousands of scientists and engineers, erupted into clouds of debris. Emergency signals flooded her screens as escape pods launched from the burning structures. In the Global Defense Command Center deep beneath Seoul, Myra's team worked frantically to coordinate rescue operations. The room buzzed with controlled panic as they tracked surviving pods and directed rescue ships to their locations. Signal from the Confederation diplomatic channel, her communications officer announced. The alien representative's image appeared on the main screen, their perfect features arranged in an expression of rehearsed concern. We extend our deepest regrets for these tragic accidents, the alien spoke smoothly. It appears your station suffered catastrophic power failures. This demonstrates why your technology requires our supervision. Myra's hands clenched into fists beneath her desk. Hours earlier, she had decoded a series of encrypted Confederation transmissions. The attack patterns, the timing, the precise placement of the explosions, none of it was accidental. Director Park needs to see this immediately, she told her assistant, gathering the decoded messages. The evidence was clear. The Confederation had engineered these accidents as a test of Earth's defensive capabilities. The Emergency Council convened within the hour. Leaders from around the world joined via secure quantum channels, technology the Confederation didn't know humans had developed. Myra presented her findings to the grim-faced assembly. The explosions targeted our station's weak points with surgical precision, she explained, displaying detailed analysis on the council room's screens. They used energy signatures matching Confederation weapons, disguised to look like power system failures. How many casualties? Director Park asked, his voice tight with controlled anger. 217 confirmed dead. Over 1,000 injured. We're still counting. Myra pulled up the rescue operation status. If our emergency protocols hadn't been in place, the death toll would have been much higher. The council chamber fell silent as the numbers sank in. These weren't just statistics. They were parents, children, friends, humans who had been murdered to satisfy the Confederation's curiosity about Earth's defenses. They're watching our response closely, Myra continued. Every communication, every rescue ship, every military movement. They want to see how we handle a crisis. Director Park stood up, his expression resolute. Then let's show them exactly what they expect to see. A primitive species struggling to cope with tragedy. He turned to face the assembled leaders. Meanwhile, we accelerate our preparations. May Ray nodded in agreement. The quantum shield grid, humanity's secret defense system, was nearly complete. A network of satellites and ground stations waited in hiding, ready to create an energy barrier that would render Confederation weapons useless. "We need 2 more weeks to bring the shield grid fully online," she reported. "Until then, we have to maintain the illusion of helplessness." The rescue operations continued through the night. Ray coordinated with emergency teams, making sure their responses appeared appropriately chaotic and desperate to Confederation observers. Every movement was choreographed to reinforce the aliens' belief in human inferiority. In her private office, Ray reviewed the casualty lists with a heavy heart. Each name represented a life cut short by the Confederation's cruel experiment. Their deaths would not be in vain. They would become the catalyst that united humanity against their would-be overlords. "New transmission from the Confederation," her computer announced. Another condescending message of sympathy, offering to upgrade Earth's remaining stations with alien technology that would give them even more control over human space activities. "Send our thanks for their generous offer," Ray instructed her communications team. "Tell them we're grateful for any assistance during this difficult time." The words tasted bitter in her mouth. As dawn broke over Seoul, Ray watched rescue ships returning with survivors. The Confederation had gravely miscalculated. They thought this display of power would cow humanity into submission. Instead, they had awakened a determination that would shake the foundations of their galactic empire. The quantum shield grid hummed quietly beneath the surface of human civilization, growing stronger each day. Soon, the Confederation would learn that their primitive protectorate had surpassed their expectations in ways they never imagined possible. For now, Earth would play the part of the wounded victim, accepting the Confederation's false sympathy while preparing to strike back. The aliens' own arrogance had given humanity the time and motivation to develop defenses they never expected. When the shield grid finally activated, the real war for Earth's independence would begin. Captain Young-Ho Kang felt the quantum neural interface connect as he settled into his fighter's cockpit. Around him, his squadron prepared for humanity's first strike against the Confederation. The sleek vessels, hidden for months in underground bases, represented Earth's true technological achievement. Shield grid activation in 3 minutes, Control announced over the secure channel. All squadrons prepare for launch. Young-Ho ran through final checks, his mind merging seamlessly with his fighter systems. The neural interface made the ship feel like an extension of his own body. Through the quantum network, he sensed his squadron mates doing the same, their consciousness linking together in ways the Confederation had never imagined possible. "Confederation fleet approaching orbital defense stations," Control reported. "They're charging weapons." The moment had been carefully planned. The aliens believed they were launching a surprise attack to subjugate Earth completely. Instead, they were flying into a trap. "Shield grid active," Control announced. A shimmer rippled through Earth's atmosphere as the hidden network of quantum satellites activated. Young-Ho watched through his ship's sensors as the Confederation fleet opened fire. Their energy weapons, powerful enough to destroy cities, splashed harmlessly against the quantum shield. The aliens fired again and again, their confidence turning to confusion as each shot dissipated into nothing. "All squadrons, launch," Control ordered. Hangar doors opened across the planet. Fighters rose from hidden bases in mountains, deserts, and oceans. Young-Ho led his squadron up through a hidden valley, their ships cloaked until the last moment. "This is impossible." The Confederation commander's transmission echoed across all channels. "Your technology is decades behind ours. These readings cannot be correct." Young-Ho smiled as his squadron climbed through the atmosphere. "Formation Alpha," he commanded through the neural link. His pilots responded instantly, their ships moving in perfect synchronization. The quantum interface let them react as a single unit, far faster than any traditional control system. The Confederation ships tried to regroup, But their rigid formations and programmed tactics were no match for human intuition, enhanced by quantum technology. Young Ho's squadron split apart and reformed around an alien cruiser, their movements too quick and unpredictable for its targeting systems. "You focused on our space program's age," Young Ho transmitted to the enemy commander. "You never asked what else we might be developing." His squadron struck from multiple angles simultaneously, their weapons piercing the cruiser's shields at precisely calculated points. More human squadrons joined the battle, each moving with the same incredible coordination. The Confederation fleet's advantage in size and power meant nothing against opponents they couldn't hit, who could anticipate and counter their every move. Through the neural interface, Young Ho felt, rather than saw, one of his pilots in trouble. He redirected his consciousness through the quantum network, joining his awareness with the pilot's. Together, they spiraled through an impossible gap between enemy ships, emerging behind them to strike at vulnerable engines. "Their formations are breaking," Control reported with satisfaction. "Confederation ships are attempting to retreat." But the aliens had spent too long looking down on humanity to escape easily. More squadrons rose from Earth, cutting off their retreat paths. Human ships danced through space like schools of fish, flowing around enemy fire and striking from unexpected angles. Young Ho led another attack run, his squadron moving in patterns that looked chaotic, but were precisely calculated by their merged consciousness. The Confederation ships, designed for straightforward battles between technologically equal forces, couldn't adapt to such unconventional tactics. "Confederation command ship is powering up jump drives," Control announced. "All squadrons clear the area." The alien flagship vanished in a flash of quantum energy, abandoning its fleet to retreat alone. The remaining Confederation ships, cut off from command and surrounded by superior forces, began powering down their weapons. Young Ho's squadron regrouped, their ships moving in a victory formation that would have been impossible without the neural interface. Through the quantum network, he felt the satisfaction and pride of his pilots. They had trained for months in secret for this moment, proving that humanity's greatest strength was its ability to innovate and adapt. As the adrenaline of battle faded, Young Ho opened a channel to the nearest Confederation ship. "This is Earth Defense Squadron 1. Power down your remaining weapons and prepare to be escorted to holding position. Your crews will be treated fairly." The response came quickly, no longer filled with contempt, but with something closer to awe. Human ships surrounded the alien vessels, their superior maneuverability now obvious to all. The Confederation had expected to find a primitive species ready for conquest. Instead, they had awakened an innovative force that had surpassed them in ways they never imagined possible. Control came online again. All squadrons returned to base. Phase 1 complete. Well done, everyone. Earth is now free. Admiral Jae-yun Choi studied the massive holographic display that filled the Global Defense Command Center. Hundreds of data points tracked the movements of both human and Confederation ships across the solar system. Her eyes followed the patterns of combat with practiced ease, seeing order in what looked like chaos to others. Confederation battle group detected near Mars orbit, her tactical officer reported. 3 heavy cruisers with escort ships. They're following standard patrol patterns. Jae-yun nodded, watching the red dots that represented enemy vessels. The Confederation's movements were as rigid as ever. They stuck to the same formations, the same attack patterns, all pulled from tactical manuals thousands of years old. "Launch Ghost Squadron," she ordered. "Have them approach from below the orbital plane." The Confederation never looks there. A smile touched her lips as blue dots appeared on the display, representing Earth's ships moving into position. The neural-linked human pilots struck with perfect coordination. Their ships seemed to materialize from nowhere, systems powered down until the last possible moment to avoid detection. They hit the Confederation vessels from multiple angles simultaneously, then vanished back into the darkness of space before the aliens could properly respond. 3 escort ships disabled, the tactical officer announced. "Minimal damage to our vessels." Confederation cruisers are moving to defensive positions, exactly as expected. Jai-Yun watched as the alien ships formed a triangle formation, a textbook response to an ambush. They never learn, she mused. Send in Shadow Wing while they're focused on defending against another Ghost Squadron attack. A second group of Earth ships approached from a different vector, using Mars itself to mask their approach. The Confederation cruisers, their sensors still searching for Ghost Squadron's return, didn't detect the new threat until it was too late. Direct hits on 2 cruisers, came the report. Their shields are failing. The third is attempting to call for reinforcements. Let them call, Jai-Yun said calmly. Every ship they send is another ship that learns humans aren't the easy targets they expected. The command center hummed with activity as more battles unfolded across the solar system. Earth's forces never engaged in traditional ship-to-ship combat, where the Confederation's superior firepower would give them an advantage. Instead, they struck from hiding, used natural phenomena as cover, and disappeared before the aliens could bring their full strength to bear. Admiral, we're detecting a large Confederation fleet entering the system, her sensor officer called out. At least 20 capital ships. Jai-Yun studied the new contacts appearing on her display. The Confederation was committing significant forces now, frustrated by their inability to deal with Earth's hit-and-run tactics. They're forming into attack groups, the tactical officer noted. Standard Confederation assault formation. They're going to try to overwhelm us with numbers. Exactly what we've been waiting for, Jai-Yun replied. Initialize Operation Thunderstorm. Let's show them what happens when they bunch up their ships so nicely for us. New contacts appeared on the display. Hundreds of them, small and fast. The automated drone fighters that Earth had been manufacturing in secret launched from hidden bases across the solar system. Each was controlled by quantum AI systems based on human neural patterns, making them just as unpredictable as human pilots. The Confederation fleet, prepared for a traditional space battle, found themselves swarmed by opponents too numerous and agile to track. The drones attacked from all directions, their quantum shields shrugging off alien weapons while their own shots found weak points in Confederation defenses. Their formation is breaking, the tactical officer reported with satisfaction. They're trying to spread out, but the drones are keeping them separated. Ghost and Shadow squadrons are moving in to engage isolated targets. Jai-Yun watched as humanity's carefully planned strategy unfolded. The Confederation had spent centuries perfecting their space combat doctrine, but they'd never faced an enemy that refused to fight according to their rules. Confederation ships are beginning to retreat, came the announcement. Should we pursue? No, Jai-Yun decided. Let them go. Let them return to their fleet with stories of how humanity fights. Let them wonder what other surprises we have waiting. The holographic display updated as the alien ships fled, their once precise formation now scattered and broken. Earth's forces returned to their hidden positions, ready for the next encounter. Send word to all commands, Jai-Yun ordered. The tide has turned. Humanity doesn't just resist. We now control the pace of this war. The Confederation thought their technology made them invincible. Instead, their reliance on it has become their greatest weakness. Her words echoed through the command center as staff continued monitoring the solar system. Humanity had learned to fight in ways the Confederation had never imagined, turning their own assumptions against them. The galaxy was about to learn that underestimating Earth had been the aliens' greatest mistake. Ambassador Do-Hyun Kim sat in his secure office at Earth's hidden diplomatic outpost on Europa, reviewing another encrypted message that had arrived through quantum channels. The ice-covered moon had become a secret meeting place for species looking to break away from Confederation control. The message glowed softly on his screen, marked with the signature of the Novari, one of the younger species in the Confederation. Like many others, they had been forced into submission centuries ago, their culture and technology shaped to fit the Confederation's rigid standards. Your resistance gives us hope, the message read. We watch your victories and see a future where cooperation replaces control. The Confederation's power over us weakens with each passing day. Do-hyun carefully composed his response, knowing the importance of every word. Earth's example had sparked something unprecedented, a quiet rebellion spreading through the ranks of the Confederation's supposed allies. A light flashed on his desk, indicating another visitor had arrived through the secure transport system. The Marins were early for their scheduled meeting. Do-hyun watched through his office windows as their representatives emerged from the arrival chamber, their crystalline forms catching the light from Europa's surface. Ambassador Kim, the Marin speaker, greeted him as they entered his office. "We bring news from the core worlds. The Confederation Council is fracturing. Many question the wisdom of continuing this war against Earth." Do-hyun gestured for them to sit. "Tell me more about the situation in the Council," he encouraged. The Marins had been one of the first species to secretly contact Earth, their own history of resistance making them natural allies. 3 more systems have declared neutrality in the conflict, the Marin explained. The Confederation calls it treason, but they lack the forces to respond. Too many of their ships are tied up fighting your forces. The ambassador nodded, adding this information to his growing database of Confederation weaknesses. What had started as humanity's fight for independence had grown into something larger, a chance for many species to reclaim their autonomy. "We received word from the Talaxians as well," Do-hyun shared, pulling up another message. "They're ready to openly support Earth's position in the next council meeting. Their fleet commanders have already quietly refused orders to engage human forces." The Marin's crystalline surface rippled with excitement. The Talaxians control key supply routes. Without their support, the Confederation's military operations will be severely hampered. More messages arrived throughout the meeting, each one bringing news of another crack in the Confederation's facade of unity. Species that had been silent partners in humanity's resistance were beginning to find their voices. "Earth offers friendship, not subjugation," Do-hyun reminded his visitors. "We believe in sharing knowledge, not controlling it. Every species that joins us makes us stronger through their unique perspectives and abilities." The Marins shared a look that translated across species as hope. The Confederation taught us that strength came from uniformity, that their way was the only way. Earth has proven them wrong. After the Marins departed, Do-hyun spent hours coordinating with Earth's other diplomatic stations. Hidden outposts throughout the solar system hosted similar meetings, building a network of allies united by the desire for true independence. A priority message flashed on his screen. The Confederation had lost control of another sector, not to military action, but to simple refusal to obey. Their member species, inspired by Earth's example, were beginning to remember their own strength. "The tide shifts faster than we hoped," his assistant noted, bringing in more reports. The Confederation's grip on power relied on the belief that resistance was impossible. Earth has shattered that belief. Do-hyun worked late into the night, corresponding with representatives from dozens of species. Each message reinforced what humanity had discovered. True strength came from diversity, from finding new ways to solve problems, from working together as equals. A final message arrived as Europa's surface caught Jupiter's light. The Confederation Council had called an emergency session. Their carefully maintained order was unraveling, and they had no protocols to handle this kind of rebellion, one based not on military might, but on the simple power of species choosing to work together. The ambassador smiled as he prepared for another day of meetings. Earth's greatest victory wasn't defeating the Confederation in battle, it was showing the galaxy that another way was possible. The alliances being forged in secret would reshape the future of space itself. The Great Hall of the Galactic Alliance headquarters buzzed with activity as representatives from 100 worlds gathered for the historic assembly. Sunlight streamed through the crystalline dome, casting rainbow patterns across the gathered delegates. 5 years had passed since humanity's first contact with the stars, and the galaxy had changed in ways no one could have predicted. President Min Ji-lee stood at the podium, her presence commanding attention from beings of all shapes and sizes. The former Confederation members now sat as equals with the species they once ruled, their old hierarchies replaced by genuine partnership. Today marks not an ending, but a beginning. Minji's voice carried across the hall. Earth extends its hand in friendship to all who seek genuine cooperation and mutual respect. We have learned that true strength comes not from domination, but from working together. Hannah Kim watched from her position as Earth's ambassador to the Alliance. She remembered that first meeting with the Confederation, their thinly veiled contempt, their certainty in their own superiority. Now those same species sat in the chamber as partners, having learned that humanity's greatest gift to the galaxy was showing another way forward. The newly built Alliance headquarters rose from the heart of New Sol, its architecture blending styles from a dozen worlds. Ships from across the galaxy moved through the sky above, their designs as varied as the species that created them. Earth had become a symbol of innovation and cooperation. Our victory was not won through force alone, Minji continued. It was won through innovation, through adaptability, and through the courage to imagine a different future. Every species brings unique strengths to our alliance. Together, we are stronger than any empire. In the 5 years since the Confederation's fall, technology had advanced at an unprecedented rate. The sharing of knowledge between species had led to breakthroughs that would have been impossible under the old system. Quantum computing merged with alien crystalline technology, while human neural interfaces revolutionized space travel. Hannah smiled as she watched a young Marin delegate discussing theory with a human scientist, their conversation animated despite their physical differences. The old barriers between species had fallen, replaced by genuine curiosity and respect. We remember the cost of this peace, Minji acknowledged, her voice solemn. Those who died in the orbital stations, the pilots who gave their lives defending Earth, the brave souls across 100 worlds who dared to stand against oppression. Their sacrifice showed us that freedom is worth fighting for. The Great Hall fell silent in remembrance. The war had changed everyone it touched, but from that conflict had emerged something remarkable. A true partnership of worlds, each contributing their unique perspectives and abilities to the whole. As we move forward, the President continued, we carry lessons learned at great cost. Power must be balanced with wisdom. Technology must serve life, not control it. And progress must lift all species together, leaving none behind. New Sol's spires caught the setting sun, their surfaces shimmering with the same crystalline technology that had once seemed so alien. But now these towers represented something different. Not submission to foreign ways, but the blending of knowledge from across the stars. Hannah's translator hummed as species from across the galaxy voiced their agreement with Minju's words. The old Confederation's universal translator had forced everyone to speak their language. The Alliance's version learned and preserved each species' unique ways of communication. Earth stands ready to share what we have learned, Minji declared. Our universities welcome students from every world. Our laboratories partner with researchers across the galaxy. Our ships patrol trade routes not to control, but to protect. This is the foundation of our new order, not dominance, but partnership. As the assembly concluded, Hannah moved through the crowd, greeting old friends and new allies. Each conversation reminded her how far they had come from those tense first days of contact. The galaxy had learned that true civilization wasn't measured by the age of its technology, but by how that technology was used to benefit all. The stars shone brightly over New Sol that night, no longer distant and threatening, but full of possibility. Humanity had not just survived its trial by fire. It had helped forge a new way forward for all species. The future stretched out before them, not as a path to be followed, but as a frontier to be explored together.